come in for a second. And I'll have you lead the way, whatever way you generally would go. And I'm just going to kind of watch you walk him for a little bit here, and then we'll make some adjustments.
Like he usually does not, he will not walk in a perfect heel.
Yeah. So same deal, you're kind of
1,000 times better than
this is better than normal. Yeah. Got it. Okay. Oh, here we go. We got a dog up here. We'll see what we get. So this dog's obviously coming up this way on the left. What would you generally do right now?
Just go that
Retreat?
way.
Abort mission?
Yeah, abort mission.
Okay. Let's go ahead and cross the street.
Okay.
And we'll see what he does when he sees him. So this is kind of normal. Tough guy. We got all kinds of dogs out. Look, there's some down there.
Perfect.
Yeah, we really couldn't have picked a better day for this. Okay, got it. A little bit of this, starts getting fired up and stuff. Yeah. Okay, got it. Okay. Why don't you try to get him into a down command?
Okay. Yeah. Ready? This is just management.
Understood. Yeah. All right, so as soon as this dog passes by, we'll talk a little bit about this, because there's a lot of really apparent things right off the rip that you could adjust. This really shouldn't be that big of a deal as far as fixing, you know, because you could tell, like I said, you know, with her, with him, they know what's expected of them, right?
Ready.
So let's do this. Let me see your leash from you.
Yeah.
Oh, got it. I'll take the remote as well. And is he on black button?
Yeah, red.
Red button?
Yeah.
Sit. No. Sit. No. Sit. And I'll accept it down. I'm generally pretty loose about sit versus down, as long as his butt stays on the ground. Perfect.
Is bad in your presence, like if it were me.
Well, we'll talk about that in a second, because it has nothing to do with my presence.
Okay.
I want to see how he does once this one kind of comes by here. Yeah, he's more focused on that guy. No. Sit. No. Sit. No. Sit. Good. Thank you. You're cute when you're not barking.
I know. It's gnarly.
What's that?
Is that your dog?
No, she's had him for a long time.
So we cannot have...
No, he's training right now. Thank you for asking, though.
Good luck.
Yeah, right? No. Sit. Good. That's right. Okay. So obviously, and we got another one coming this way. We'll see how he does in a second here. But right now, all I'm going to do is just enforce this sit command. Obviously, like I said, he's downing. I don't really care about that right now. But we're just going to see, as these dogs pass by, and we give them something really clear to focus on here, what the changes we see are. Now, the couple things that I saw right off the rip, right?
Yep.
So one, you really are dependent on this leash. You're leaning too heavily into the leash and not heavily enough on this, right? And the problem is leashes, there's nothing inherently aversive about me holding this leash pressure,
Well, and
right?
That's the problem. She, like, so the first 10 sessions
Yes,
was all
leash pressure.
Leash.
But I'm assuming he was on a different collar at that point,
He was
probably.
on a choke
like a pinch
chain.
collar or
Yep.
choke chain or something like that,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
So you're using more of a correction with the leash.
Yeah.
When you switch over to like a slip lead,
Which
right?
she switched when she took him for
Yes.
the board
Which is when she
training.
probably leaned more into the e-collar use at that point.
And then, yes.
Right?
Yes.
So, and again, like this is where I think we were talking over the phone, this is just where information kind of gets lost sometimes, right? At this stage in training, should be doing the communicating, not the leash, right? The leash, us holding him back, all that's going to do is create restraint, create frustration, and cause him to want to go more. Right?
Yep.
So as you were walking and he's pulling, he had those couple victories where he pulled really hard and you let him go over towards whatever it was. All that does is teach him, if I really want to get to something, if I fight this leash pressure enough, it works, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Were you going to say something? No.
So that was
No.
the other thing.
Sit. No.
That was the other very
Sit.
thing.
No.
is that she would not let me correct
Sit.
him with the
No.
collar
Yep.
when he did that.
No.
Because
Sit. Sorry, go
the
ahead.
theory was that he would then
Yeah.
learn to not like express himself when he saw another dog,
Sure.
and so I was taught not
I understand.
to correct him.
I understand.
So
Different strokes for different folks, right? I'm not here to say, you know, what they were telling you is right, wrong, or in between. I'm here to just obviously show you kind of what we found to be successful, right? But regardless, when you get into the expressing themselves, I think what a lot of people are getting at is like, if you get too crazy with it, like right now he's worked up, obviously, seeing the other dog, but he's keeping himself under control.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna allow him to quote unquote express himself with some of the noises he's making and things like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not totally saying you just have to just totally avoid the other dog, right? What I'm saying though, no, sit. Good. What I'm saying though is you have to practice a degree of impulse control here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't just go like through the roof, like batshit crazy, like every time you see another dog, right? So anyways, getting back to the things I noticed coming up, right? So using the leash too much, anytime we're relying on leash pressure to hold a dog back from something, all it does is want to make them go forward more, right? So it's counterintuitive, and obviously it's a catch-22 because like you didn't really know what to do other than use the leash pressure, obviously, but it was probably shooting you in the foot a little bit there, right?
Okay.
Thing number two was we weren't giving direction from the standpoint of what we wanted him to do when we saw these triggers, right? Whatever that winds up being, a sit, a down, whatever, right? We need to have a clear routine of when we see another dog, this is what we ask him to do, this is how we ask him to maintain that, and this is how we enforce the expectation of that, right? What that does is that creates predictability in his mind, and if we do need to give a correction for something, the correction at this point is not even for his reacting, it's for breaking a sit command. Right?
Got it, yeah.
So in his mind, I'm giving you something to do, and that dog is just a distraction right now at this point.
Yeah, okay.
Right?
That makes sense.
And then the third thing is motivation with your e-collar. You had it at an 8, obviously. Those last two corrections I gave were at 100.
Jesus.
Right? And you saw it wasn't like he was given these crazy big jumping, yelping responses. And I'm not saying it needs to be at 100 for everything, obviously, but I wasn't even looking at the dial. I was just watching his behavior and increasing based on how he was responding to it.
Okay.
Right? So we have to match his state of mind with the level of motivation of the consequence based on how aroused he is. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to hand the leash back to you. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to work on just walking and him not pulling you around all over the place. There should be no tension on that leash. So I'm going to give you the leash, get a good grip on it obviously, but make sure there should be slack in it at all times. I'll handle the remote for you. All I want you to do is when you determine he's broken command, you're going to mark with no for it. I'll give a correction on the e-collar, and then you'll re-engage him back into whatever command it is you want him to do. Got it?
Okay, yep.
There you go. Let's see it.
Ready, go.
Give him more slack. Even more slack. Even more slack. Let him make that mistake if he's going to make it. There you go. And see how now there's no slack in it, but he's walking next to you, right? And obviously as we're walking, there's a dog up here. Anytime we do see a dog, what we're going to do is we're going to cross the street and we're going to gauge him. And we're going to engage him into a sit command. And more slack. There you go.
No, ready, heel.
Perfect. Because we need to let him try those mistakes of breaking that heel command and not be held back from the leash, so we could actually correct for it so that ultimately he'll stop making those mistakes, right? Sometimes we get really, really almost like programmed to feel the tension on the leash, you know? And it almost feels awkward when there's not tension on it initially, you know? And it may seem like initially you're giving a lot of corrections. That's normal because this boundary is, we're essentially resetting the boundary right now, you know? Because he's learned that that boundary is somewhere else. It's not what we're enforcing right now.
The collar really does the trick when you...
Well, it's any tool we're using, right? Even if we were using a leash and choke chain or a pinch collar or something like that, all of the rules, the fundamentals of using and yeah, let's do a sit here.
Ready,
No leash, no leash. There you go.
no,
Mark.
ready, sit.
Perfect. Right, we don't want to rely on that leash. We want to rely on the verbal commands that he knows, and then we're enforcing those verbal commands that we're asking. We'll just chill here for a minute.
So he is taught to look up at me to get a treat if he,
Sure.
instead of the,
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that.
Ready?
Now,
He's not paying attention.
that's okay. Right now, we're not worried about him looking at you. Stay loose on your leash. Loose on your leash. See how it's wrapped on your leg? There you go. Now get yourself so that if he lunges, you don't get tripped there. There you go. And just wait if he breaks the sit mark with no. Don't worry about any of that right now. And don't even worry about talking to him right now.
Okay.
Mark with no.
No. Freddie, sit. No.
Mark with no again.
No. Freddie, heel.
Don't worry about the heel. Just ask your sit.
Freddie, sit. Freddie, sit.
There you go. All right, so let's do this. Let me see your leash real quick, just because we're getting blindsided from all angles here. Come.
Wow, this is
Yeah. Sit. Good. And once these dogs go by, I'll explain to you why I was having you not do the thing where you were trying to get his attention. No. Sit. Good. And again, not perfect. We just started, right? But definitely better than what he was doing just a minute ago, right?
Like,
And here we go. I got another dog over here. And this is going to be hard for him for a while. Like, it's not like this is going to be an immediate fix by any means, right? But hopefully you'll see as we keep doing this how this will continue to progress.
This is like
There's a lot going on right now.
hyperdrive. Like
Yeah, yeah.
normally we see 2 or 3 dogs
Sure.
on our
Yeah,
walk in the evening.
When you give your initial command here, just one verbal command, give him a second to do it, then enforce that command,
Okay.
right? Again, we're getting a lot of boundary testing right now because he's not used to this at all right now. But by continuously enforcing it, that expectation becomes more and more clear, right?
Okay.
Thing number 2, we don't want to try to distract him from the other dog, right? We want to see him make the correct choice on his own,
Yeah.
right? So what you were saying of the looking up to get a reward, if he does that, hell yeah, reward it, right?
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna like beg, hey, look over here, look over here. Because what we're doing is we're taking away from what the actual expectation of him in that moment is, which is just practice
Sit.
impulse control.
Yeah.
Just sit.
Yeah.
It's cool,
Just sit.
you know, like it's fine, right? And frankly, if he sits but looks at the dog the entire time they go by, but he never lunges at them, is that a problem?
No.
Not at all.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
So sometimes we create more stress by poking
it's
and
so
poking and poking and you know what I mean? Like we're actually creating more stress for him by poking him, asking for that attention, when that in this moment is a more unrealistic expectation than him sitting in this moment. You get what I'm saying? And what you'll find is organically the looking will start to come, and then when it happens on its own, then we reward it.
Got it.
Right? So let's say I had some treats on me right now, dog's walking by, he's sitting there, he's like, this is hard. But then I see, without me doing anything, he goes, yes, boom, reward.
okay.
Right?
Yep.
But we're rewarding the correct choice. We're not bribing him to do the choice.
Got it. Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And then obviously when you're giving those commands, notice I didn't shorten the leash at all or anything.
Yep.
We're just giving the command. We're pretending almost as if he wasn't on a leash.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna hand the leash back to you. He's still in a sit right now, so if he breaks it, tell him no, and we're just gonna hang out here while this dog comes this way. And did you say you do have treats on you right now? Okay, perfect. So if he organically looks at you and you wanna reward him for it, go for it. Don't be surprised if he doesn't take the treat though, just because obviously there's a lot happening right now. He's worked up, this is brand new, you know.
This is 1,000.
But this is good, right?
This is unheard of.
So again, there's work to do, but basically what I'm trying to do right now is like we talked about over the phone, we're assessing where you started with a lot of this kind of stuff. I'm showing you how some of this works, and then from there we could come up with a plan of this is how we really educate you on how to take the ball and roll with it. This is great though. Yeah, everybody's got the treats out today. And then you're doing this great right now, but just reiterating what you're already doing. As the other dog's going by, keep your eyes on him, not the other dog. And this is actually good right now. Notice what's happening is he's actually starting like air sniffing as opposed to freaking out. Totally fine, right? Engage your nose a little bit more. Be curious as opposed to default to this like, you know, intense freak out.
Nothing bad's happening.
Exactly.
You're getting to watch the dog.
That's it, right? And by us staying totally loose on the leash and not like talking to him constantly and stuff like that, we're not feeding that anxiety to him to cause him to react. Sometimes the things we do, like tensing up on the leash, anticipating the reaction or talking to him, become the triggers for him to react in the first place. Beautiful.
His two favorite dogs.
Yeah, right?
Great, Freddie.
He's doing wonderful. Look at, there's the air sniffing again. Totally, totally good. Beautiful. We'll just let them walk clear down, and then once they're kind of out of range of being a trigger, go ahead and reward for that right there, because he disengaged. And keep in mind, we don't have to just reward for looking at you. Like right now, the reward, look at it more for just appropriate behavior in general, right? And him disengaging, whether it's because he's disengaging to look at us or just to look away from the dog, is absolutely a good behavior.
Yeah.
Beautiful. That looks great. All right, let's keep walking. And see, right now, he's actually walking better with you too, because we're kind of cleaning everything up. He's understanding what's expected of him a little bit more. Does it feel nice, right?
Yes.
And there's a dog behind us, so let's go ahead and we're gonna go across the street. We'll pop him in that sit and we'll just park ourselves there until the dog comes by. Loose on your leash.
Freddie, sit.
There we go. And then just hang out there and force that sit. Now, one thing I want you to try to fight the urge of doing is, I could tell you're used to giving a lot of hand commands and stuff. Try to just neutral, just give the verbal command.
Just the verbal, okay.
And then the other thing I was gonna say as well is, don't worry about giving your heel command before the sit command.
Okay.
Because technically he was already in a heel, right?
Okay.
So we want to just give that sit command, because that's all we care about. I don't care where he sits.
No, that's it. Okay.
I care that he sits.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, so even if he's out in front of me and he sits
Whatever.
or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah. Don't worry about it right now. Yeah. And again, he's no dummy. He sees that dog over there. He's practicing good impulse control. And that's totally fine. Again, sit versus down. The stationary command's purpose is just to keep him in one spot. So if he further stabilizes like he just did, like, hell yeah.
Yeah.
No problem with that. Now, you'll find various difficulties of dogs as you're doing this, obviously. Generally, like, the calm dog just walking by is going to be much easier than the dog running by, which is going to be much easier than the dog barking at him coming by. So, yeah, that's fine. All this is just saying, this is really hard for me right now, but that's okay, because he's doing it well, and each time he succeeds with it, like even right there, he wants to, right? And we'll see what he's going to do. His butt's still on the ground. He's doing just fine. Beautiful. It was great. That was fantastic. Because again, that dog, right, pulling towards him, kind of getting worked up himself, like that's going to be another one that's going to be challenging for him. That was really good. But yeah, that's him just saying, this is hard for me right now. But each time he succeeds, like right there, he succeeded, no conflict, no correction, anything like that. That's going to reinforce in his head, okay, that wasn't that bad. Because right now he's got this thing in his head. It's just like, something terrible is about to happen. I need to like proactively defend my space or whatever it may be, right?
Yeah, so the more this happens, again, it's just going to reinforce
Yes. Consistent routine, and each time he does it successful, there's no conflict, right? And that's what we're striving for, is successful reps with no conflict.
Yeah.
Don't worry about any of that. Totally fine. They're just talking to each other. The noises are hilarious. And it's funny how they like reciprocate them too. Like that dog started doing it, then he started doing it back.
Yep.
The subtlest little woofs. There's the sniffing again, right? That's what we want to see, right?
Good.
So a lot of people get really a little too focused on, I think, creating like a positive association with stuff.
right.
Like not that that's bad. Like we want him to have a quote unquote positive association,
Yeah.
but I'm more concerned with him having a neutral association, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And like every time that happens, catch a little smell, keep yourself under control. It's like keeping things nice and neutral. Wait for this guy to go up a little bit further. Yeah, it was great. It's great.
Really couldn't care less.
Yeah.
Was the wind scaring you now, Freddie?
You were doing pretty good, Freddie. Now as you're working through this, just other little things I keep in mind, I would like them walking that way. Let's say we started walking right now. You're going to be fighting this battle of him wanting to see that dog and get to that dog the entire time. Just give it a minute, you know?
Right.
Let him get up far enough where when you start walking, like you're not fighting that urge and stuff. Like in addition to holding him to a higher standard, we're trying to set ourselves up for success too, you know? And avoid certain situations that might be too challenging for him right now.
Yeah.
Like I'm also not going to like try to do this 4 feet away from a dog walking by, you know? Very good. It's about as good as it gets. So we'll let them get up a little ways and then we'll start walking some more. You're really impressing everybody, Freddie. We didn't think you could do it. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
What's it?
That one dog looks like one of my dogs.
Oh.
The bigger one. And it's actually funny because like his sister lives somewhere in Lakewood. So I was thinking as she was walking by, I was like, I wonder if that's her. Cool, let's go ahead and cruise.
Freddie, heel. Not a lot. Okay, so here's a dog.
Perfect. Yeah, let's go ahead and stop and do our
Freddie,
sit.
sit.
And you see how proactive we're being about this? Like that dog's well away, might not even be coming by here, but just for consistency's sake and to set him up for success and set ourselves up for success, this is just the routine, right? And we'll wait till they go a little ways away.
True, but I don't know if like dumber dogs, because I would consider him a dog. So like he will start doing these things on his own.
Yeah,
you know?
sure.
Like that's just.
Yeah. You're talking, he will start like predicting these things?
You know, he'll see a dog and then he'll start sitting down. He he picks up on routines.
Pattern,
very
right? That has nothing to do with smarter dog. If anything, I would say that's a smart thing because he's predicting what we want out of him, right? Which is great. That's with the predictability, right? So if we can get him predicting and anticipating the expectation because it's so consistent, that means his probability of success is much higher.
Yeah.
Right?
Good. Okay.
And if we correct him for not doing it, he's definitely going to know what it is that he should be doing. Cool. Let's go ahead and keep cruising.
Ready, heel.